Sweet. All right, welcome everyone to season 4, episode 3. We've got WAGMI. We're all gonna make it. Update. Last week we managed to get the first draft idea about how token rewards and emissions are gonna work for Bar, which is really exciting because that's like the strategy we can use to start getting initial traction and making sure we can do some really interesting things alongside the kind of like scheme we're thinking about, and it's nothing like what's been done in DeFi so far. So that's going to be really cool. We got the ARCx rewards topped up, released the ARCx reverse rug score, and we decided the chain that we want to launch the alpha bar on, which is exciting because we can now all work towards deploying on that chain and testing in due course. And the OG passport skin released. In terms of what we've got this week, we've got the Bar white paper draft ready for internal review. We've got the first draft of how the token rewards and emissions might work, and a game plan around how scores can get more integrated into the wider ecosystem, given we have the technology to create scores, publish them, and convening APIs to access them. We've also got the GM Discord bot, which should hopefully be tested and released, fingers crossed. And then we've got the roadmap and wiki update release coming out in the next 24 to 48 hours. It will be great because now everyone here can have a better idea around why we're going, where we're going, and it's a lot more of a focused discussion about what's happening compared to kind of when X or when Y. We've also starting to get the early kind of thinking around like how we want to develop go-to-market for Bar. Part of it, which is thinking about audits and the different stages and what we need to start building out. So that's kind of like conceptually this week. A lot of stuff focused on Bar and integrations is roughly the headspace that we're all in. The challenges, so working closely with data about like risk around Bar. So seeing events like what's happening in the market right now with these huge liquidations and massive vaults is really kind of something that we're paying attention to, because that's like a similar position we're going to be in. I think there's something crazy, like if the price of ETH hits like 1,500, there's like $500 million of Ether that gets sold through Maker or something. So just understanding how protocols in DeFi in general like is actually its own structural market component. So reflexivity is fun on the way up and scary on the way down. And then I guess in terms of shoutouts, I don't know why I always end up missing the actual written bit, but I'm sorry. But I'd say big shout out to Kale in particular. He's been going through a lot of the liquidation mechanics and understanding crazy Uniswap math, but at a deeper level and at a programmatic level to like model how will liquidations and slippage work plotted over time for various asset pairs, which is like one of the most niche problems you can be working on in crypto. So massive shout out there. And also to Kirsten, who created her first custom score. She did a phenomenally great job at that, which is really cool to see. So yeah, that's it on my end. I'll pass it over to Kyle.
Cool, thanks, Norman. So yeah, last week we were working on the Discord bot a lot. We have it deployed in a staging server where we're debugging it now, QAing it. We also got through to the current holders UI, so we have that up in the staging environment as well. Also testing that, same thing with the contract. So we're in the QA phase for those 3 things. We started the integrations for Borrow in between the Money World and the Titan World, so that's going very well. And then we also had some, minor front-end and back-end improvements that weren't really pointing out. So shout-outs to Yarek on his dedication related to the Kerman Holders contract. I remember this morning we were talking about how we had all this code, and then Yarek just went full-on Sage mode and realized, like, wait, we can simplify the crap out of all this. And then he did, and it's awesome. The less code, the better, in the same functionality, so it was really cool. This week, obviously release the Kerman Holders. That's the contracts, the whole thing. We want to get that done this week. Same thing with the Discord bot. We're also starting the credit score UI for Borrow, starting the contracts writing for Borrow. I'm not sure if we're going to get all that done this week, but we're moving in that direction. Same thing with the integrations with Mumbai and Polygon, starting that also as well. Challenges. So tying up loose ends. We often have little small things that pop out. And if we don't get on top of them, then they start to add up. And the Discord bot, that's edge cases galore. We keep finding, oh, what about this case? Oh, what about that scenario? Oh, what about, this? So it's annoying, but it's not unsolvable. It's just taking longer than expected. That's all. That's everything for me. Sending it
all right. Thank you, GM to everyone. So, and thank you, Kerman, for the shout out. What happened last week? So, big things happening in our squad at the moment is the road towards borrow. So the two big items of that is the credit score. So we had an original credit score that was very risk-centric, but we've had a rework of that to make sure that the UX makes a lot of sense and that it's incentivizing the correct behaviors, because a machine learning based risk-centric credit score may sometimes just change scores based on volatility in the market, which isn't a good UX. So we've done that, we've developed it, backtested it, it's stable, and we're looking for this week to actually stage it up in our full production data environment and then connect in some simulated pipes so we're ready for when the real contracts get deployed. Other things that we did last week was risk calculations. So as Kerman was mentioning, I was doing risk calculations on slippage, on delinquency rates, figuring out the financial model, how all the pieces plug together. There's big work there. More custom scores were built, which is very, very cool. Big shout out to Liam. He's been helping the data squad a lot with figuring out how the custom score process works. He's really refined that. So very big shout out to helping us plug into his world. And challenges is really, one of the big challenges is squad communication, that we're fully distributed. There's only one or two of us are co-located in the squad. So it's all very hard for us to communicate synchronously. So it's just figuring out how do we stay on top of each other's work, especially as we're starting to work on the exact same source code at the same time. That's it for me. Liam, over to you.
Thanks, Kale. So last week we did an ARCx score. So we're sort of looking at scores now in three lenses. Like, are they kind of like community sort of relationship based ones? Are they like just pure get traffic to the site scores, or are they like, informing the market on a potential capability that we have? So there's sort of the three lenses that we have. Something that we're doing is doing a case study on different airdrops and then distributing that as an article. So that got finished just last week as well. I think I might have mentioned last week that we are starting to separate BD out into three functions. So demand gen, customer development, and product sales. So, last week there was more thinking around that in terms of, how do we, how do I better connect in with product and things like that. So yeah, last week was a bit managey, which is like a necessary evil sometimes. I guess I wanted to shout out Hugh in terms of, just helping me build out like this customer development thing. It's going to be really helpful to get more velocity there. This week, I'm doing an update to the OHM score. There were some things that came up last week which sort of got in the way of that, but this prod deployment should have those updates pushed, so that will be tweeted out soon, as well as a ribbon airdrop score just to re-engage that community. I'm going to also be doing more like outbound, so doing like more customer research, but in a way that's plugged into product more. So, working with Hugh to figure out, how do we validate the early products to just get them out there, like what's good enough for, us to start doing integrations. And just going to get back more on outbound and inbound integrations meetings. So, just meeting with people and trying to get them to pretty much install Discord bots and various other things that we have going on. So I think the big challenges that I'm facing really are just improving the customer research and validation process, i.e. the sooner that we can get, these products sort of validated as having an initial fit, the faster I'll be able to crank sales out and build out that part of, the BD role. The other thing as well is, just like I think time boxing the scores process. It's getting more efficient now. So each week I'm trying to get that type of work, which is kind of demand gen based work, sort of fit it into just Monday and Tuesday so I can kind of shift gears to the other mindset on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's everything for me at the moment.
Good morning, everyone. Last week in product and operations world, we obviously launched the OG passport skin. So that's all kind of done now. Spent a bit of time developing this public roadmap. So this will come out with the launch of the ARC. Basically, it aims to just explain what's happening in the world of product, as well as in the integrations and business development side, and what are our goals for each of the upcoming 12 months. I think there was a comment on community around like we should have some 12-month plan akin to Olympus. This is very much similar to that. It's really just laying it all out on the table. So hopefully we can start speaking the same language around like our goals and what we're shooting towards. Another big piece of work last week was just around updating our documentation. It's pending upload to Gitbook, but as Kerman mentioned, we're looking to get that out in the next 24 to 48 hours. So that will be an announcement that we'll put up on Discord when that gets done. The next one here is we ran an ideation session on Discord bot. So for those who are interested or wondering why we're doing this, there's a good reason for connecting up scores with the communities that are going to use those scores, like a really, really strong reason. So there's a million and one things we could do with this connection. So we ran an internal meeting to think through those options and create a bit of a mini roadmap for our kind of Discord engagement strategy. And then the final thing here is that we've started having some initial conversations with other DAOs on score designs. One of the emerging insights is that we see there's a long tail of scores that get developed that are interesting and and are like fairly quick and easy. But then there are going to be some scores which are going to be developed very much in partnership with other protocols and go deep around, what are the mechanics and what are the incentives that we're putting into this score so that they can almost develop their own like loyalty score, such as you would imagine. So that conversation was enlightening. There's going to be more of those in the coming weeks. Quick shout out to community. Thanks for keeping us honest and accountable. There is good discussion in general. I understand that there's a lot of FUD in the market at the moment, and that's I think it's one of the weird things that I think, being in the position of building a DeFi app, it gives you this weird perspective of we're just focusing on creating value, but like even though tensions might be high, it's great that like you continue to engage in that general channel and other channels. Yeah, it's very important for us to just make sure that we're hearing the sentiment from the team and from the community rather. So this coming week, QAing the releases that were mentioned on the engineering update, setting up the Discord bot in our own server for some lean tests. So you'll see that again in an announcement sometime this week. We're going to launch the ARC, which will be our Gitbook and public roadmap. And we've got some audits to schedule for most likely April, early April, to coincide with the launch of our Borrow product. So that's kind of in the works. And then the final thing is to start supporting writing the draft around the ARCx white paper. The main challenge from our end here is going to be just setting up a customer research practice. So we've just put in place a bit of a process around it, but it's really going to be more important to kind of have consistency on that. So that's going to be the main challenge for us as we navigate some ambiguity with our product. And that's basically it from my end.
Cool, thanks for that, Hugh. Yeah, like definitely echo a lot of Hugh's points around. It's like we want to definitely get better at like communicating where we're at in that roadmap, so we can all speak that same language and have more, I think, like constructive discussions where we're all like keeping it positive sum and making sure like there's a lot of value to go around. to like how we push everything forward. So yeah, all really exciting stuff. I think didn't see any explicit questions in the community call chat, but if you guys do have any, feel free to drop them. Otherwise, I guess we'll catch. Yeah.
Jump into the community channel.
Okay.
With a list of questions.
Cool. Okay, sweet. I'd say so. A few things which have come up around passport skins. Basically, the skins function as is. The marketplace is, which we had scheduled, was more of a way for us to release more skins. But one thing we've heard from the community, but also just like aligning with our roadmap, is like creating more skins isn't necessarily a priority. So that's not really something that we've pursued down. We do need the migration of the skins from the first Sushi Swap skins on Zora to OpenSea. So that's like something that's on our list. And yeah, the white paper for V3, that's something that kind of came up throughout the general chat. So that's a lot of that has been thinking that we've developed out, and we're finally at a place from a product, contracts, front end, back end perspective where we can actually create a much more high resolution spec. So as mentioned today in the call, we've got the draft for that coming out soon, and then that should be able to provide a little more clarity as to what the game plan is with Borrow, given we've alluded to it but haven't been able to really show the concrete game plan of that. And yeah, I think that was mainly about it. If anyone has any more questions, always feel free to drop them in. Just check the chat. When Moon Kenji, I think that's what everyone's asking right now globally. But yeah, thank you all for jumping in, and look forward to seeing you next week. See ya.